Kids Media Entertainment. Chuks Trouble with Fine Girl.
The afternoon sun blazed over the quiet street where Big Uncle sat, fanning himself with an old newspaper. The air was thick with heat, and even the trees seemed too tired to rustle. "Chuks," Big Uncle called out, his deep voice breaking the stillness. "Sir," Chuks responded, rushing to his side. Big Uncle reached into his pocket and pulled out money. "Go and buy me 2 packets of Indomie, and make sure you don't forget what I sent you for." Chuks nodded eagerly. "No problem, Uncle. I'll be back in a flash." Clutching the money like it was a sacred treasure, he set off down the dusty road, repeating the word over and over to himself. Indomie, Indomie, Indomie. The little provision store was just at the junction, a short walk away. It should have been a simple task, but fate, as always, had other plans. As Chuks approached the main road, he saw her, a girl, but not just any girl. She walked gracefully, her skin glowing like polished mahogany, her long braids bouncing gently as she moved. Her smile was soft, warm like the first rays of morning sunlight breaking through a cold harmattan haze. Chuks froze. His mission, the Indomie, Big Uncle, everything faded into the background. Who is this angel? He thought, staring at her as if she had descended from the heavens. He followed her movements with his eyes, mesmerized. She wasn't even doing anything special, just walking, minding her business. But to Chuks, she was the most fascinating sight in the world. He kept staring, and then bam, a loud crash shattered the air. Chuks had walked straight into something. The moment he looked down, his heart nearly stopped. Eggs, everywhere. Dozens of broken eggs lay scattered on the ground, their golden yolks spreading out like tiny, defeated suns. A woman's horrified scream filled the air. "My eggs!" The market stall owner, Mama Gozi, clutched her head in shock. People gathered instantly, drawn by the commotion. Some gasped, others laughed, and a few shook their heads knowingly. "See what this boy has done," Mama Gozi wailed, pointing at Chuks as if he had committed a great crime. "Do you know how much these eggs cost? Do you know my suffering? Who will pay for this?" Chuks stood frozen, mouth opening and closing, but no words came out. I didn't mean to." "You didn't mean to? So was it the wind that knocked over my table?" "Ah, you must be mad." Before Chuks could plead further, Mama Gozi grabbed her phone. "I'm calling the police," she declared. The crowd gasped. Some whispered among themselves. Chuks' stomach twisted into knots. This was bad, really bad. Moments later, a police officer arrived, pushing through the gathering spectators. "What's going on here?" he asked, his eyes scanning the scene. Mama Gozi wasted no time. "Officer, this boy destroyed my entire business. Look at my eggs, everything is gone. He must pay or follow you to the station." The officer turned to Chuks, arms folded. "Is this true?" Chuks swallowed hard. I was just on my way to buy Indomie. I wasn't looking where I was going." "You weren't looking?" The officer cut him off. "That's negligence. Do you know how much damage you've caused?" Chuks' head spun. The fine girl, the eggs, Big Uncle's Indomie. Everything was going wrong so fast. Before he could process his next move, the policeman's voice rang out. "You are under arrest." A heavy silence fell over the crowd. Chuks' legs turned to jelly. This had to be a dream. How did he go from buying Indomie to being arrested in the middle of the street? As the officer grabbed his wrist, Chuks turned his head desperately, searching for the girl, but she was gone. She hadn't even noticed him. All this trouble, and she was nowhere to be found. Regret sank into Chuks' bones like cold water. If only I had just bought the Indomie. If only I had just minded my business. But it was too late. The lesson had been learned the hard way. And as Chuks sat on a wooden bench at the police station, staring at the wall in silence, one thought repeated in his mind. Next time, Indomie first, fine girl later.